Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Today it's just my thoughts on the IPMS Scale Model World Telford model show that I went to yesterday, which is Saturday. It was probably still on at the moment. I think it finishes at 4 o'clock today, Sunday. First of all, I want to thank the IPMS for putting the show on. It couldn't have been easy in the problems that we have at the moment. It was a much reduced, scaled down show, which I'll go into in a bit, but they couldn't have done anything more, you know, with what they got to work with, in the sense of, in the UK, the government can and has shown it will shut down society when it needs to, and this isn't again an anti-shutdown thing. Lockdown is the word I was after. Things have to be done. But what I'm saying is, if you're somebody that's got to book a hotel, whether you're a trade, whether you're a model club, you know, special interest group and general visitors, if you've got to do all the expense stuff and just the general travelling and all that, the cost that that's incurred, you're going to be put off if, you know, if you think that you're not going to be, or it's going to be snatched away at you at the last minute, or you're going to get COVID and not be able to go, or somebody near you's got COVID and you can't, you know, all that stuff. So I personally thank the IPMS for putting the show on. As I say, it couldn't have been easy. I thank all the volunteers that are involved in that, and also the event company as well, the guys that actually own the Telford Exhibition Centre, whatever they call it. You know, everyone did their best to make the show as you know, as good as it could be. It was definitely scaled down. They've got 2 halls on rather than 3, although the 3rd hall was being used as it was the largest seated area for food that I've only been twice before, 18, 19, and then obviously the jump through to now. But the food area, they always do some really, I never have it, but it always looks really delicious food there. There's just never anywhere to sit, you know, as it is with these places. Obviously, you want to squeeze in what you've come to see rather than the food stuff, and there's always a fight for, you know, to get where you can sit down and eat your food. But this year, because that whole hall, as far as I remember, as in from previous experiences, was devoid of, apart from seating to eat your food, the actual the models and the traders and everything were just in the other 2 halls. I think that was more to do with, it wasn't so much a COVID thing. I think it was more to do with just obviously a lack of traders and exhibitors. That's the word I was after. You know, all that type of stuff. So these thoughts are my own. Bearing in mind, we all know I've got severe mental health problems. I'm just bringing it up again because I use the show as my own little mini shot in the arm to, you know, make me push myself on. I see lots of all the builds that people do, and it's, you know, and it really just makes me feel good, you know. And as I say, I love the world in miniature. I paint figures of all sizes and descriptions, and I've gone back to making my scale models as well. And I just love the world in miniature, the military world in miniature, and it's a, you know, it's a good shot in the arm to go to something like that. I don't travel, as I say, Scale Model World and a couple of other trips out. That's all I've done since the last Scale Model World in 2019. Probably I've been out apart from walking my pop up to the local common, and the occasional when I've had to go, the wife's had to drag me to a shop to get something. I think actually social type stuff, I've been out probably 4 times in probably 5 or 6 times in 3 years. So, you know, I don't get out. Hence the pallid complexion. So it's a big shot in the arm for me to go. It's only 40 minutes up the road from me, and I was pushing myself to go to Cosford in 2020, obviously before the plague came. And I'm hoping to go next year if that you know, materialises. So it was very truncated. these are my own thoughts again, so I don't want anybody throwing stones at me. Oh, well, I thought it was like this, or I thought it was like that. That's your own valid opinion. This is Gav's valid opinion. So, obviously the European clubs weren't there. Quite absolutely understandable for all the things I've said earlier. They weren't there. I would imagine more UK clubs weren't there either. There were obviously loads of UK clubs there, but I'm just saying I don't know. I'm not you know, obviously I'm not in IPMS. I don't know who really comes and goes. And although I've been a couple of times, I'm not going to remember every club that's there, because on a normal show you wouldn't remember every club that's there. So I think it was down on UK clubs. It was almost non-existent for European clubs. I don't know if that's 100% correct, but I definitely didn't see, a lot of the countries have usually got their countries' flags over their tables and that, and I didn't really see any of those. I even thought the special interest groups were down on who was there, and what they were showing was definitely down, I believe. And even some of the model clubs themselves, some of the tables weren't as packed as they normally are. I thought I was particularly looking forward to the naval section. I can't, for the life of me, you'll see some in the photographs that I took. I love my ships, and obviously I'm building HMS Kent at the moment. I love post-war ships, and they were very much condensed, and they probably only had a third of the ships that they normally got there, which was a shame. So it was a lot more scaled down. Traders were down as well, from what I could see. Now, all this isn't actually, although I'm saying down, these aren't here. It's not. I'm not throwing stones at the IPMS. They ran with what they got, and it was, as their usual, it was well organised. The only thing, and this is a complaint people have always had, and I don't know how you'd fix it really, when you go down the aisles between the exhibits, the model clubs, the traders are always on the ends and obviously around the outside. That really makes choke points at the end of each aisle, and especially in COVID situations. And I've got to say, and again, if you're a non-mask wearer, as long as they've not made it mandatory, you can fill your boots. I'm a mask wearer. And that was a choke point where everybody, as usual, was face to face. I'm quite tall, so, but if COVID was jumping around, it was jumping around on the ends of those aisles. There was probably about a third wearing masks, 2/3 not, and a third wearing masks. They were through young to old. It wasn't the young aren't wearing masks and the young and the old are, and no, this isn't again, if you weren't wearing a mask, this isn't against you. I'm just saying, if it was mandatory, I'd be going, yeah, wear a bloody mask. Sorry for swearing, YouTube, very mild one, but it's not mandatory. So, you've got your choice, and you took it. But yeah, just on the taking the COVID out of it, it's always been a bone of contention where it's the choke points, and you're trying to get past everybody. We've all got, but I've got a little backpack for the first time. Really didn't need it in the end. 2 items purchased, but yeah, it was the same old thing. Even though numbers were reduced, because I got there right at the beginning. It was a lot more crowds probably there in those first few hours, and it was the usual choke points trying to get past. Again, traders don't have a lot of space, which fair enough. It's there for the model displays and everything, but obviously the traders' money support the model clubs and all this type of stuff. And I never go into the few. There weren't that many trades, but those that were selling kits, like Hannants and that were there. I don't get in there, my head, I just can't. And to be honest with you, I'll just get it online, I don't believe in massive savings at shows, so I'm not one of these, and there were loads carrying the usual bags, especially with that. I saw Hannon's bags all over the place with, I have no connection to Hannon's, everywhere, with bulging bags. So there must have been something that people were interested in. But yeah, I wish they could. They must have looked into it over the years, and there probably isn't anything they can do. But those choke points at the end of the model club walkways, if you want to call them that, to where the traders are opposite and around at the ends, it's a blooming nightmare trying to get through. But as I say, that's the two before that were the same. In fact, worse, obviously, because you have more people there. But getting into the show, I thought was fantastic. I'm IPMS member, so you get fast tracked down through and whatever. There's a huge queue, but I believe that queue, I was literally only there, I was supposed to be there for a lot longer, but I thought I'd be bumping into people for a chat. I saw nobody. Ron, sorry we didn't meet up. He did message me, but I'd already gone by the time he got there. But everybody else, no, either guys had dropped out from going, or if they were there, I never saw anybody. So I wasn't there halfway as long. There wasn't as much to keep me looking around and as occupied as I was. My only annoyance with IPMS side of it was the competition area. I've never been able to see the competition area. It's always been upstairs, and by the time I get to see it, it's usually roped off because they're judging and things like that. And this time it was downstairs, and you could see it by all that bright blue material that the models sit on it in the distance. I thought, for the first time, I'm going to get to see this competition. And there's a big sign up saying, no backpacks. I can understand that, absolutely, I can understand it. And of course, I've got mine on my back. I went, bummer. And I looked up, and there must have been about 5 blokes in front of me, obviously just sticking 2 fingers up to the big sign saying no backpacks and just walking straight round having a look. And I reread it, and it said in the judging area, and I thought, Gav being Gav, maybe they take the models off and judge them in a separate, I don't know, I've never been anywhere near that, anything like that. And so I went up to the guys with their bright yellow t-shirts on, and I said, I've got this backpack, can I go in? Oh no sir, no backpacks please. And I thought, I'm not going to make an issue of it, and I just looked up, and he wasn't going to look, and I wasn't going to make an issue of it. My head, no, it's not worth it. And I just turned around and sloped off. But I just thought, it's a classic case of, you make the people asking, doing the right thing, it's easy to slap them down, and I absolutely understand that. No bags, you don't want bags knocking, I get it. But don't turn a blind eye, and don't say, well, I didn't see it, when you're this far away from people walking past with backpacks plainly either over the shoulder or strapped on, who are just sticking 2 fingers up to the big sign, and nobody could claim they didn't see that sign. So I was a bit narked at that, as you can tell. It's a classic case of, you do the right thing and you get punished for it. And but I actually understand why the sign is up there. It was just I took it when it said in the judging area. I took it there must be a separate. That was for people to look at the models, and the models are taken off there. I don't know, but obviously not. But those guys shouldn't have been allowed to have gone round with. You should have had somebody stood there, literally stood, because you only had maybe one or 2 widths of people, if maximum, to get through, and it wouldn't have been hard to have somebody standing there all the time saying, no, very sorry, go out, because people will, they'll just, nobody's going to stop them, they'll do it. So yeah, that was a bit irksome. You either stop people doing it or you don't. So maybe look at that in future. But yeah, as I say, I can absolutely understand about no bags and stuff in there. The only reason I'd asked was I'd seen all these other guys going in. I thought, I'm interpreting this wrong then. Must be a separate place in the judging area for no backpacks. Obviously not. Right, what else? What did I did think a lot of the SIGs, which I always enjoy I actually enjoy looking at the SIG tables particularly, because you get all of one particular, it's a special interest group, the SIGs, So you can have the Tornado, you can have it could be anything. I really don't, you know, some World War II Mediterraneans, some are Pacific. It could be ships. It could be anything. You know, whatever. If somebody's got an idea within the IPMS to put a group up, I think it's within the IPMS. You can either, it could be a group already that you know you can join, or you could have the idea of I'd like to set this up. But if you do, obviously you've got to run it. It was definitely down on groups I'd seen or I knew in my head that I'd seen before, and they weren't there, or the ones I was looking at seemed more not as much on show, because obviously all the guys have to bring their, from the different special interest group, they all bring their stuff on, put them on the tables and whatever. So if you've got guys that aren't coming, then obviously they're not going to be putting their stuff on the tables. One of the largest tables I saw, and you'll see some photographs, I had to colour few unfortunately out of it, because by the way, I took the photographs with this video camera. I wasn't going to take my phone, I didn't know how to, I thought I've got to transfer the photos to my computer, then I thought no, not the amount I'll be taking, so I just relied on this, and it was fine when I was up at the edge of the table taking. You'll see some are clearer than others. The others I've had to put it on zoom from standing away to 6 feet away, or 5 feet, or 4 feet, so they're not as distinct. I apologise for that, not much I can do. Some of the other ones, there's only about, well, I told me I'd taken 75 photographs and I had to cull about 5 or 6 because they were just too blurry. There are some others that might not be blurry, but they're not very distinct, but you know, there's not much I can do. I took a couple of, the only, for my car maras in the States, there it's always has been more military than anything. You will get more cars normally than there was on display that I saw. Of course, you can get some in individual clubs, because you can build anything obviously in a model club, and often the model clubs will have just a complete range of different things that their members have brought along. I took one photo of some motorbikes. I do like my sports bike models. They were fortunately a bit further away, and I couldn't, without obviously getting over other models, I had to use the thing on the video camera to reach it, and so I just took them en masse. So it wasn't particular. There were some nice bikes there as well, but I couldn't really get a close up of them. And I saw some lorries, truck cabs. I took a photograph of those for those guys that might want to see them. And there were some rally cars, a section of rally cars, again slightly away from where I could actually get a complete close-ups of them. But there wasn't a lot of that I saw of other automotive. It's never massively represented, I believe, at Telford. We seem to be in the UK more organised towards military stuff, but I have seen a lot more in 2018 and 19 than I did this year. What else? Oh, the one group that really, and I came away thinking I've got to get this. The Mirage SIG group. I mean, I would join the SIG, but I came away. You know, I've always liked the Mirage 2000. Don't ask me why. I just think with all the fuel tanks on and that, it just has a look to it I've always liked. So at some stage next year, I can see me doing a Mirage 2000 of some description. But yeah, that was a big table actually, and they got a lot of Mirages. So I've taken a few photographs of that. I like the helicopters. You see Gav says you like this, love that, like, you know, but Mi-8 helicopters, which is a Russian helicopter I'm particularly fond of. There was 2 or 3 different club stands, different Mi-8s, and I took some of those. Russian armour, I like my Russian armour. The Russian, I don't know if it's just armour, but the SIG group for that, I've taken some photographs. Unfortunately, it was about 3 of those that I was again doing on the telescopic Dubry on here. They were too fuzzy in the end. Trust me. They seem quite condensed this year. You know, normally there's a lot more on show than there was, which was a shame. But having said all that, it was the Telford show. You know, it was always going to be lower in who was what was, you know, whether it's traders, model clubs, SIGs. It was always going to be lower. And there were actually tables that were completely bare, just wooden tables, where obviously a club group, I have no idea, was supposed to be, and obviously haven't turned up for different reasons. And there were a few of those tables around, which was always sad to see. But no, you know, that it was a. I've said to you guys when I went, when I was hoping to go, you know, it was a great shot in the arm. I actually came away feeling a bit flat, I've got to say. I said to the wife, pick me up, and I said, yeah, I feel a bit flat, and this isn't genuinely nothing against the IPMS or anything. They did a brilliant job. As I say, I said to Frederick, go and visit Frederick at the Hobby Shack. That's his channel, by the way. I messaged Frederick and just said I'd got these couple of books now because he's interested in a lot of the stuff that I like. And I said, I'm glad you actually didn't go. Not that he was actually planning to go. But yeah, I just said, I'm glad that you didn't. And Tom in the States, go check out Tom, Mr. Rambler 69 channel. He wants to go at some stage, and I'm glad that this show wasn't the show for them, because Telford is a huge show and there's a heck of a lot more than I saw this time round. So it was great for the IPMS to put it on. The hurdles they must have had to jump through to get it going, it must have been immense, and I'm really glad they did. I was probably just more flat because it just wasn't the. It's hard to explain. Telford has that real razzmatazz to it, you know? And I don't mean like this. It's like those blowy stringy men, you know, that they do at football matches, or there's, you know, when a football match wins a cup, there was exploding glitter goes everywhere. I don't mean it's so much that, but it just has that real vibe, excitement to it, you know. Because you see people from all around the world there. There's people from the States, Canada, you know, and you know, you'd be surprised some of the tables that you go, oh, that country's represented, you know, and that was, I suppose, that was a bit more flat, you know. So yeah, I'm glad I went, and I'll be going next year, provided obviously they can run it. Hopefully I'll go to Cosford as well, because again, that's quite close to me. In fact, it's probably closer. Yeah, you know, just big thank you for him to putting it on. As I say, the photos that you're going to see in a minute, they could be better. But one, I'm not a photographer, and two, you're always. I still see it, even though it wasn't as packed. A couple of times I saw people with like full coats on, leaning over models with their jacket bottoms, literally sweeping over the tops of models as they're trying to lean over to get a better photograph with their mobile phones. I mean, the one time I thought this is a disaster waiting to happen here, and I wanted to have a look in the same area, but I thought, I am not having him boss something, and I have to be stood there next, and I get the blame for it. Yeah, you got to wonder sometimes, but. Yeah, you know, it was. I'm glad I went. I spent the princely sum of £23. I know, apart from getting in. But they were two. What they call them? They're books, but you know, like the magazine type books. One was on sale, which I'm glad, because I've got the very first 1 in 35 scale kit I bought, ready to do. I still haven't made. Which is a striker. I just impulse buy. I like the shape of it. It was wheeled. It's an armoured personnel carrier too, mostly, although it gets used for mortars and stuff as well, and turrets on them now and everything. But yeah, I've just got the one with the 50 cal on top that can be fired remotely from inside and all that. Just a cheap trumpeted quid. I think it cost me 20 quid, and. I've got zero reference for it. You can't have the back down or anything because there's no interior, and to try and scratch build an interior like that with my skills, not a chance. But yeah, I bought a book because when I'd seen it before, it was like about 23 quid or something, just a paperback book, you know. But it was on for about £8.50, something like that, with a sale price, and I bought that. So at some stage, that striker's got to get built now because I've got references for it. But the other book I got, and as usual, I would have held it up to the camera, but it's not here. The wife's put it in my book collection. Is I'm a big fan. Not that I've got a lot of their stuff, but the Abrams squad that do post-war armour, so all modern armour stuff and soft skins as well, and getting there as well. But I bought one. It was just a reference, not for the modelling side of it. It was just reference photographs for armour in Syria. Up and coming, you never know. I've actually got 2 up and coming things that could be used for that area. I've got a grad still to be built. And I think that the lorry's probably a bit too early for what I'd intended it for Chechnya. I've still got to make one last decision on that one. Not that it's going to be built particularly soon, but I've had it for 2 years now, or 1.5 years. But I've got a grad launcher, and they've got some good pictures of grads in there as well. So Katyushas, you would, if you're into World War II, call them grads now. But yeah, I've got that, and I plan to do another Syria armour, because Syrian armour, as we all know, is so beat up. So you only go see Night Shift's channel when he did that smaller one, but they are that beat up. There's so many things you can do to them, and when you make models like me, it's perfect for hiding all the things that went wrong. So yeah, I got that for about 15 quid. They're never massively cheap, those type of publications, but I thought I've spent nothing. I've got money burning a hole in my pocket. So, like I said to Frederick, with the money that I'd saved to go, there's always the internet. There's plenty of stuff to buy on the internet. So that was all I bought. So I'd gone from 2018 for spending £10, went shooting up to about 140 odd quid 2019, straight down to 23 quid. There was I can't remember the guys that do it now. There's a figure company there. I know Ron bought a bust from them. I did look at buying a full figure mounted, but in the end I thought, I know that I can't think of them right now, but I know the company. I can always go back to them. I didn't want to just. I've got other stuff in cupboards, you know. I've got too much on my plate at the moment. Let's not go buy. There's no point spending money on stuff that I'm not going to be painting for another year probably. So, yeah, if by a miracle I have an empty thing, I've got space on my desk, then I might get one, but not at the moment. Tommy's Wall weren't there. I was going to buy it. That would have boosted. That's what I spent a lot of money on last year. Tommy's Wall weren't there, and as I've got still one of their figures on the desk still here under its little wrapping. It's going to be a while before I get any more Tommy's Wall stuff. And some of the other figure companies, I was going to get a couple of resin figures for some up and coming builds that I've got an idea of doing as well. So and none of them were there. So yeah, it saved me money. So guys, I'm rambling. I will have to write this in the description as it's a ramble about Telford. I'll put it in the title just so people know. I won't even know what minutes are to say to you. Just get the photographs, but just scooch through all this if you want to and get to the photographs. There ain't many. 75 photographs don't take a lot. You know, it just flips through them. It won't take long to go through. So yeah. Thank you again, IPMS, for putting on Telford. It was much appreciated. As I say, although I've said I felt a bit flat, it wasn't because of your hard work. It was just, I think it just showed what we were missing, you know, and that's the only reason I felt a bit flat. Yeah. But as I say, it wasn't for the hard work those guys didn't, you know, those guys put in, and I say I for one appreciate it. So look after yourselves, guys. I've been busy, although you wouldn't think about it when you look at it. I've been busy the last couple of nights or 3 nights scratch building on HMS Kent. Scratch building for Gav means just getting little bits of cut off plastic and sticking them on bits all over. I will show you an HMS Kent update probably Wednesday. when I've got some other bits done. The hole's still sitting up there, but I have been doing busy scratch building. There's not a ton to show you, but I know people who just on the analyticals. I know people who are interested in the HMS Kent build. So I'll show you what I've got done and explaining why I'm doing this and that and the other. What else have we got? I'm looking on the bench. I'm cleaning Napoleonic figures up at the moment. Not unusual for Gav. I'm doing some 18 mils for the commission. You're not going to see those for another week probably, maybe even slightly longer. I'm going to be painting this guy here. I've just cleaned him off. This is a French Napoleonic voltigeur. This is, as you can see, a spectacular figure from Avonpost. You can get them from Mez's Minis. I have collection. I'm painting commission work for Mezza at Mez's Minis for his 30-year war resin figures. But I bought these with my own money so I can shout the man out. He's a good bloke. Go and support him. That's Mez's Minis. But I'll be doing this as a paint along if anybody. Where are we? If anybody's interested in seeing, we shall have this guy as a paint along, I think. And I'll be painting him this week. Brian Gav doesn't stuff up the video yet again. I might have to paint him in segments. I don't know how we're going to get round this, guys, because I really would like to do some paint alongs, because I can't really do. I will start doing. I'll do model. Just although I don't do models very well, I'd put some of that stuff up, but I can't work out how to blooming get a voiceover on the computer. I don't know how to do it, and it's really getting me down, because I make a lot of videos. People are interested in seeing the painting videos. Like somebody said, even I might not be saying this is how you do it or not, but they can see just how as somebody else paints, and it gives them ideas on how to do it, so or not so much how to do it, but just little things they might pick up along the way. But it would be better if I could voice over it, rather than on off with it's a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, so we'll be having a painting along with this 28mm figure. He's got to go in primer tomorrow. Was there anything else? I'm doing. This is another. I've got a review coming up for Grumbler Miniatures. Now that is well, it's not a paid review. I'm not getting anything for it, but I've been sent the figures. First time I've ever been sent the figures for anything on the channel. I'll say Mez's is a commission, so that's a bit different. This is 6mm. This is 6mm, and I'm trying to show you in this bag here, and you've got no chance. But these teeny little fellas in here, what I'm going to do is a bit like I did when I painted the Bacchus figures that I bought. I will show you a stand of painted figures, based and everything, and show you a collection of unpainted figures, so you can see the difference. And there is a difference actually with the Bacchus figures, so we'll go into that when we see them. So that's coming up. They're going under primer with the figures that need priming, and you'll see that. Hopefully you're not going to see them this week, because I've got to paint a few figures up and they've got to be fitted into the schedule with everything else, but you will be seeing that as quick as I can get them up and running. Really, I've had them for a couple of weeks now, so I think they need to get on the conveyor belt. There might be an unboxing or so maybe this week. I'm not sure. I did say not that you'd be that bothered with it, but yeah. So the main one this week is HMS Kent and the paint along. I think I'm halfway through painting one of the mounted figures for Mez's 30-year war resin range as well. Well, Avonpost range, but sold through Mez. That's it. Ramble. But while it's in Gav's head, it's got to be said. Right, look after yourselves. If you're at Telford, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We're all sitting with we all went into the lottery for COVID. Now who's going to pull out the ball with, it's your turn? Hopefully not me. Right. Hey, I'll tell you what, I was splashing that what do you call it, that, not disinfecting, the alcohol gel stuff. My life, my hands were raw by the time I came back up. Mask taped off to my face. Right, look after yourselves, guys. Photographs for Telford are right behind this huge blurb. We'll speak soon.